Look! Look, the dynamic duo!
Hey guys, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Avengers Tower and the Batcave, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey Kevin, listen, we just came from watching Venom, Let There Be Carnage. And this is going to be a non-spoiler alert, but we are going to give you the general feeling of our reaction. So it won't be spoilerish in the sense that, you know, we're not going to tell you what happened in the story, but it'll be spoilerish in the sense that we'll tell you kind of how we feel and certain things that happen, you know, no details, but what happened within it. So it's up to you to see how much you want to hear. But Kevin, what did you think?
All I ever wanted in this world is carnage.
Lady, we should be out there snacking on bad guys. I am a predator. I need to be free.
You have got to get control of your aggression. We will get hauled off into Area 51.
All I ever wanted in this world is carnage. I'm not a crazy man. I am a vengeful one.
Oh, shit!
Whoa, where you going?
That is a red one!
You need to come out right now. I will let you eat everybody!
Promise!
I promise!
Oh, yeah!
Betty, you feel like home to me. Like family.
I enjoyed the movie. I have to admit, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I'm not a huge Venom or Carnage fan, at least not on their own. I enjoyed the Venom and Carnage stories as they related to Spider-Man, but I never have been a huge fan of the other two characters. But I have to, excuse me, folks. I have to admit, I enjoyed the movie. My hat is off to Andy Serkis for what he did directorially, knowing that the man is an actor and he's been associated with things like The Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and what have you, and he's done a lot of motion capture or CGI-based characters. I thought he did a doggone good job for a first time being behind the camera instead of being in front of it.
Well, thanks. First of all, I gotta agree with you. For some reason, we like Andy Serkis. What is it? Circus, as in like the Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Well, it's not spelled that way, but
I know, but it's pronounced that way, Circus.
Yeah.
Circus. Yeah, Andy Serkis. Yeah, for some reason we like him. Like people, when I say we, I mean people just generally like him and are rooting for him. And so for me, several disclaimers. I think we have to start off, for me, I have to start off with several disclaimers. Disclaimer number one is, listen, always take someone's opinion for what it is, someone's opinion. And in a way, it's unfair for a movie critic to critique a movie because, well, you know, when you're watching the movie for the first time, if you're a critic or if you're thinking of it from a critiquing point of view, then you're analyzing the movie rather than enjoying it. So you're not really getting the full experience of the movie. And I found myself a little bit doing that a little bit too much. And so sometimes you watch a movie and, you know, you don't think much of it. And then later on you watch a movie and you think, oh my God, this was actually a great movie, or vice versa. Sometimes you watch a movie and you think, wow, this thing was the greatest thing ever. And then a decade later you watch it and you're like, holy crap, This sucks. Batman, the original Batman, '89. So, sorry, Kevin. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. So take movie critics for what it's worth. I think if you see the trailer, you're interested in it, go for it. Go see it. If you don't know, if you've seen the trailer and you're not quite sure, I'd recommend it. I'd say go check it out, particularly if you're a Venom fan, if you're a Carnage fan, if you're an MCU fan. I say check it out and see what you think, because the movie was good enough to be enjoyed. One thing for sure is that as we were walking in, there was a kid outside the theater, and he was like, "Oh, this was so great. Make sure you stay till the end. Make sure you stay till the end." So people, have different reactions to different movies, and ultimately you have to decide what you like. Another disclaimer is that I've never been a big Venom fan. I like Venom. He's okay. He's not one of my favorite villains for Spider-Man. One of the reasons is because I'm such a Spider-Man fan that I hate the depiction of Spider-Man always getting beat up by Venom. And that kind of started then. Jim DeMatteis went crazy with it, with Morlong. But that whole idea of Spider-Man getting beat up and surviving, and that was his special thing. To me, that was nonsense. I didn't like that. So I've never been a big Venom fan, but I've liked the character, and I've thought highly of him as part of the pantheon of the villain of Spider-Man. I've disliked, I should say, Carnage. When the Carnage series, Maximum Carnage, came out, it was around the time, and we talked about this in a previous show. It was around the time when comics were starting to go crazy, and they were going with the gimmicks, and they were trying to out-dark each other and out-violence each other. And to me, Carnage was just that. And perhaps that's not fair, because I've read many of the Carnage issues. But maybe I didn't read the whole thing as a whole. Right. So maybe I didn't give it a fair chance, but what I saw didn't keep my attention, because it seemed to be just action and violence and just that. So disclaimer upon disclaimer. Having said that, third disclaimer, and this may be just me, but I've developed a pet peeve for the cutesy stuff. I've developed a pet peeve for the comedic, serious movie. Thor Ragnarok just basically ruined it for me, because to me, you can have points of humor, you can have points of laughter in a serious movie, but you have to be careful not to cross that line into too much comedy, because it takes away from the heaviness of the movie. And so herein lies my critique. The movie was enjoyable. I liked it. The end brought it home for me, much the same way Suicide Squad, kind of like, I like that sort of epic, conclusion, big fight type of thing. Having said that, the humor bothered me. The interaction between Eddie Brock and Venom, to me, it was too much. It was too over the top. It was too unbelievable.
You live in my body. You live by my rules.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please let me fix it so I can play it again. You are a loser. It's a pet peeve, and it's my personal opinion, but it ruined the movie. I think that the movie could have been really, really good. Like when you look at a movie like, for example, Winter Soldier, when you look at the Civil War, when you look at Black Widow, when you look at those types of movies, there might be points of humor within them, but it's a serious movie. The director takes it seriously. There are some movies, however, where the humor is so much, it's almost as if, do you even care about this? And so I'm not going to excuse this movie or Circus of not caring. I think he did a really good job. But if I had it my way, I would have reduced that whole humor, interaction, cutesy nonsense. I think it detracted from the movie.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to piggyback on what Franz just said. I really do agree with literally everything that he just spoke about. The comedy in the movie, although I expected it, it was too much.
Oh shit!
Whoa, where you going? That is a red one. You need to come out right now. I will let you eat everybody. Promise. I promise. Oh, yeah.
Some of the interactions in terms of the comedic portions went on for too long. And I think that hurt the film in spite of the whole idea of what they were trying to convey. I do agree with Franz that the end of the movie, even though I stated earlier that I enjoyed it, I did. And part of why I enjoyed it was the last 15 to 20 minutes. It held the movie up in a weird way without giving anything away. It allowed the film to redeem itself. Because in my opinion, the film started to slide during the third act. And by the time they got to the conclusion, it was well done. I will say this much, part of what held it together for me was that a lot of the fourth act redepicted comic pages from the Venom and Carnage pieces, and even in some ways they redepicted certain famous things that it had been done with Spider-Man. I do want to say this much. Although they've set the movie up for a third film, and I think they'll be successful at it, I don't think they should go beyond number 3. I think they'd be going to the well one too many times if they tried, say, Venom or Carnage, number 4, number 5, number 6 kind of thing. I do agree with Franz completely. Go see the movie. I personally think this outranks Suicide Squad. I think they did a better job with it, and not because it's a Marvel movie versus DC. I just think that Andy Serkis gave a better presentation than what we got from James Gunn. And I'm not picking on James Gunn, but that's my take on it.
You made so many good points, and again, I always like to stay in the moment when I talk to you, and I try not to remember a point that you made, and so now I'm trying to remember. It was a very good point that you made that I wanted to answer. A couple of things that I will add to this. First of all, again, this is a perfect example. I personally liked, I think, Suicide Squad a little bit more. If I had to judge between the two, I'd give it to Suicide Squad, but that's perfectly fine. And it's a small margin. So I could absolutely understand why you would like this one better. I felt Woody Harrelson's performance was subpar. And that was surprising to me and a little bit disappointing to me, because I think he's such a good actor. I think the way he took it was comic book villain. Let me play a comic book villain rather than a serial killer, which is what Carnage is. And so it wasn't horrible by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. For me, it just was not quite 100% believable. I could see the thought process of, I'm playing a comic book villain, and let me ham it up as such.
Yeah.
There's a point that you made that was so good that I wanted to piggyback on. But as I remember it, one thing that I will say is, what I don't understand, Kevin, is, dude, if I'm given the opportunity to make a movie, I would make that movie to the best of my ability, meaning I would get the best cinematographer. I would come up with the special effects. I'd want to make the single greatest, movie possible from every angle. And obviously I don't know cinematography. I'd get the best cinematographer. Obviously I don't know storytelling. So I'd work with that. I know what works and what doesn't work, and the best actors and
And I would try to maximize every aspect of the movie without detracting anything from it. That would be my point of view. And it is fascinating to me that some directors don't seem to do that. And again, Serkis did a good job. He did a very, very good job. I'd give him a very, very good grade. Was it the kind of movie that makes you go home and go, oh my God, what did I just see? I don't think so. I don't think so. Was it the kind of movie that says, oh, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. That was good. You should check it out. The answer is yes. But for me, I'd be like, dude, I want to make The Matrix. At least I want to make Blade 1. You know what I mean? To blow people away. That's what I would go for.
The one little piece that I want to add, and this is small, but I feel it needs to be said. The people behind movies like Suicide Squad and both Venom movies up to this point need to keep in mind that this material, even though it's mature content based on the way it's been presented, this material is coming from, not coming from, that's the wrong way of putting it. It's initially in a position where it's meant for not little kids, but young teenagers leading into young adults. And I think to a small degree, and we have said this before, but yes, I'm saying it again, they need to keep in mind where their audience is. And they need to keep in mind what the material represents as far as being on screen or on TV or whatever the circumstance is. Because I think they're sliding a little too far into the adult audience, and whether you like Venom or Carnage or whatever the case may be, they need to remember Venom and Carnage have been represented on pages and in animation for kids. And they need to be aware of that, cognizant of that for the future.
That's a great point. And that's another criticism, perhaps, of this movie. And it's not a criticism of the movie, but really of the subject. One of the reasons I didn't like Maximum Carnage and that whole storyline is because the comics were making the mistake of trying to blend the comic book superhero genre with an overly bloody, serious thing. And you're trying to mix two things that don't or shouldn't go together. Mm-hmm. Comics shouldn't be about shock and how much blood I can put forward. It shouldn't be about that. If you want to make that type of comic, feel free to do so. But the genres, particularly Spider-Man, shouldn't be about that. And what's fascinating is that a good writer could portray horror without blood, without being obvious and without being ridiculous with it. And so Carnage was, again, going for the lowest common denominator. They were trying to appeal and they were trying to shock. And this movie, because it does that storyline, because it emulates that storyline, kind of does the same thing. So it's kind of a horror show because Cletus is a serial killer. He's a real serial killer. He's a mean guy who's, horror and so on and so forth. And then you're taking that genre, that bloody genre, that killing of, eat your head type of genre, and you're blending it with comedy and buffoonery comedy, like bumping into things comedy, Laurel and Hardy comedy. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's like, just choose one or the other, bro. Like, part of the reason I'm hesitant to like this movie is because I'm afraid that we're starting, the MCU is starting to, and this is not MCU, obviously, but the MCU is starting to follow
some of the things that failed in the comic books. I don't understand why you're emulating stuff that didn't work. Like, why don't you emulate the stuff that got us here in the first place? You know, give us the great storylines, give us the great Thor storylines, the great Fantastic Four storylines, the great Spider-Man storylines, and so on and so forth, rather than the cheesy ones that were cheap and what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, you know, the ones that you know, that use gimmicks to appeal. The whole Carnage thing was a gimmick thing. It's not, no one, I don't think, thinks of Maximum Carnage as a classic, iconic Spider-Man, you know, lore. I don't think you do. And so I wouldn't have emulated that. And I think that the movie, I don't blame it for doing that. It did, you know, Serkis did what he was supposed to do. I think it's the wrong choice. And I have a little bit of a problem with it watching that movie. Enough of a problem to say I didn't enjoy the movie? No. Enough of a problem to say, don't go see the movie, it sucks? No. But personal preference, yeah, I get your point. I totally get your point.
Is if you enjoy old B-movie science fiction and horror, you'll love this, because that's who it was made for.
Yeah. And if you, by the way, and I think I said in the beginning, if you love Carnage, if you love Venom, dude, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna love it, because the point that you made was true. That's the point. That's one of the points that you made. That one of the reasons so I talk about the things I don't like about the movie. One of the things that I like about the movie is that it emulated the comic books, and I'm always that always appeals to me. And so, but for the spider sign on Venom, which it wouldn't make sense for him to have that until he meets Spider-Man.
Right.
But for that, you're watching Venom and you're watching Carnage. And so that's very, very cool. Anyway, guys, listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick review. I hope it encourages you to go see this movie, really, because first of all, we need to support this industry. And second of all, it's worth it. I think you guys will enjoy it. And third of all, let us know. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to share your opinions, and we will see you later.
So long, folks.
All right, buddy.